Where most storytelling goes wrong, and once you see this, you will start to see it everywhere, is the standard approach is tell a story, make it personal, tag your offer on the end. I remember sitting on the beach feeling so free. This is what I want for you too, inside my program, blah, blah, blah. And I don't come at this with judgment at all. I've done it. We've all done it. But when you hear that, do you feel connected to it? Or do you just like the sound of it? Welcome to Rich Work, the podcast for established female entrepreneurs ready to turn their expertise into premium clients and consistent high-ticket revenue. I'm Rachel Pearson, global brand and business strategist, skincare obsessed, and always distracted by booking the next mini break. Here you'll learn how to position like a luxury brand, attract clients who love to invest, and build wealth that actually lasts, so you can create the business and life you want, not someone else's version of success. This is where premium positioning and building wealth meet for women who are rewriting the rules. Let's get into it. If you listened to last week's episode on AI, if not, go back, dive into that one. You'll know that I am pragmatic about AI. Use the tools, let them handle what they're good at. But AI also makes a case for really thinking about how we want to build our personal brand. That is stronger than ever right now, because when everyone has access to the same tools, the same outputs, the same polished content, the thing that can't be replicated is, one, the data that you have access to, which is in last week's episode, and two is you. So today we're talking about a key aspect that only you can own, which is your story, but not in the way that you've probably thought about it before. Before we get into how to tell stories that actually convert at a premium level, I want to talk about something that I think a lot of established women, and it's not even about a level of business. I think it's something which I personally have always felt a push-pull with, which is how much of your personal brand and your story needs to be built in a public arena. My view before we go into storytelling is that it doesn't need to be everything. I have built several successful businesses and a successful career before I came into running my own businesses, and I have never shared my whole story online. I don't share my whole life, and I don't see that as inauthentic. When I show up, I am 100% me. But being 100% me also includes being 100% clear on what I share and what I don't. That's not a limitation in my storytelling. That is my storytelling. I'm choosing what represents me. And I was thinking about how this can work in a really authentic way, because I feel like I'm totally authentic in what I do and what I share and what I don't share. But I think it's hard, and I hear this from clients, it's hard to decide how much you want to share and what you don't. And I was with a group of female entrepreneurs at the end of last year, and there was one who is super successful. She owns a multi-seven-figure business. She has an influencer style business, so she is a content creator, and she has 4 very young children. 2 of her children are a really similar age to my own boys. And we were talking about what comes along with that level of visibility. And she said something that really stuck with me and made my own view of what to share and what not to share really land. She said that there are certain rooms in her house that she never films. They are purely for her family. So I think the kitchen was one of them. And there are also days that she never records. So Sundays are purely family days. No exceptions. She's still visible on those days because she has content scheduled, but her boundaries are in place. I think about that example when I think about content and story, and that personal brand does not mean personal exposure. The shift that we are seeing with AI coming through and with this move towards people looking for more personal connection is it doesn't mean that you have to be more open or to share things that you're not comfortable with. It's about being more intentional, about moving from personal connection to personal truth, which means feeling completely congruent with what you put out there and what you don't. So if you've been holding back on storytelling because you don't want to overshare or because vulnerability as a marketing thing doesn't really sit right with you, I'm with you. That instinct is what feels true for you. And so what we're going to look at in today's episode is how to make the story you do choose to tell actually work for you. It's not about having to share everything, but it is about being really clear on why you are sharing parts of your story and how to make those powerfully come through. As always, you'll be able to download the prompts from this episode so you don't need to worry about taking notes as we go through. I'll tell you where to get those prompts at the end of this episode. So let's start off with why most advice around storytelling doesn't result in sales. Most of the storytelling advice out there is designed to make you relatable, to share your life, be vulnerable, let people see the real you, and then they'll connect and eventually will buy from you. And it does work, and it works for certain types of businesses as well. I'd say more so if you're selling at a lower ticket price point. This can be a way of bringing people into your world when you're working at volume, and it works to a point. You post something personal, you get a surge of engagement, people commenting, "Oh my God, me too," or "This is so inspiring." Maybe a family member you forgot who follows you pops up and likes a post. That auntie that you forgot was even a friend of yours on Facebook. That's relatability. And relatability creates peers. People who like you, people who feel connected to you, people who see common ground. But it breaks at the premium level. When somebody is about to invest 10, 20, 50,000 pounds, whatever the amount, they don't just need to like you. In fact, they don't need to like you at all. They need to feel like you get them. They need to feel like you've been where they are and you're where they want to be. And that's a different thing entirely. Relatability says we are the same. Affinity says I trust that you can take me somewhere. I'm going to focus on affinity in this episode. Affinity is what the biggest brands in the world focus on. And we rarely talk about it in business. Affinity is when you create an emotional connection where people don't just like your values, they start to identify with them. They see your brand as an extension of who they are or who they are becoming. So if we think about it in terms of buying behavior, if I already have affinity to a brand because I connect with what they stand for, how they think, the way that they approach things, my decision isn't whether to buy, it's which thing to buy. So the trust is already there. The emotional connection is already there. I just need to find the right offer at the right time for me. That's what we want to build with storytelling. It's not just, "Oh, she's amazing, I relate to her." It's, she thinks the way I want to think. She's built what I want to build. I want to be in her world. I want to understand. I want to get behind the scenes. So the question isn't, how do I tell my story? It's how do I tell stories that build affinity, not just relatability? So let's look at how that happens. Where most storytelling goes wrong, and once you see this, you will start to see it everywhere, is the standard approach is tell a story, make it personal, tag your offer on the end. I remember sitting on the beach feeling so free. This is what I want for you too, inside my program, blah, blah, blah. And I don't come at this with judgment at all. I've done it. We've all done it. But when you hear that, do you feel connected to it? Or do you just like the sound of it? Because we can like it and nod our head along to it. But does it move something in you? Liking the sound of something means you resonate with it. You think it's nice. But that affinity means that you see yourself in it. You feel like you could place yourself in that story. And that is when the connection goes into sales, into conversion. So here's where we're going to reverse it. Instead of starting with your story and attaching your offer, I want you to start with your offer and connect your story back into it. So let's break this down into practice. When you look at your offer, start with the transformation. What does your client actually get when they work with you? So not the features, not the 6 weeks of calls and access to templates. What will they be able to do? Who will they be? What will they have? Be specific. So more confident in business is way too high level. They need to be able to picture it. I say to my clients, I want you to approach this like you describing the transformation, and I'm going to be able to go and create a TV scene from it. Like I would be able to stage this from what you're telling me because I can imagine it in such a sensory way. So write out 5 to 10 examples of what someone can do and who they'll be after working with you. And then look at what themes come through from that. For example, if you're a business strategist, like let's take my niche, and your client is finally able to turn down projects that don't align because she knows exactly where her revenue is coming from for the next 6 months, then the theme there might be certainty or sovereignty. She's not scrambling for cash. She's not letting any client come into her office choosing. She's discerning. Then once you have your themes, find the moments in your own experience where you have lived that theme. Now, these moments do not need to be dramatic. I don't have a rag to riches story. I don't have the lowest of the lows. I've been through hard times. Like I've been through challenges like everybody, especially at my age, has been through. But I don't have there was this epiphany story, suddenly everything fell into place story. That's okay. They don't need to be dramatic. The most powerful story points are often small. It's a conversation, it's a decision, it's a Tuesday afternoon where something changed. When you've got those story points that show your theme, then you connect it. So you lead with a transformation that your client wants. You bring it into your experience of that same theme, and your offer becomes the natural resolution. It's not something that we're just bolting onto the end of it. This is the difference between storytelling that gets likes and storytelling that gets inquiries, that gets DMs, that gets people saying, I don't know exactly how we're going to work together, but I know that I need to work with you. Because you're starting by thinking about how the story will be received. So many people tell stories. Stories are not powerful because of you telling them. They are powerful because of how they are received. Because of how they make the person that is listening, the person that is reading, feel something different, see something different, choose something different. Receivership, not showmanship. That's what we want to do with stories. In your download at the end of this episode, you will have examples of how to take the themes of your story into a post. I will show you how to break that down. Let's take it up a level now into your overall story. So there are 2 levels of story that you need in any business. There are many more stories, but I don't have time in this episode to go into all of them. But these are the 2 core stories that I will always tell my clients to have in place. The first is your brand story. And the second is what I call your story steps. Your brand story is the one that you will tell over and over again on your website, on your sales pages, on your podcast. When someone asks what you do, you should get bored of it. That's a good sign. It means that you are creating memorability. Most people build their brand story from circumstances, what happened to them, the timeline. So my example would be, I left corporate, I had kids, I started a business, I pivoted, I ended up here. Like it would sound a lot more interesting than that, but that's basically my circumstances. And all of that is true for me, but it doesn't give people a thread to hold on to. It's based on circumstances that take us in different directions. And so people are listening going, that's cool, but what does that mean for me? Like, where's the common thread that I could hook onto? What am I following here? The common line is you, not what happened, but what you took from it. So instead of leading from circumstances, lead with your mission. What is your work about today? If you already had $1 million, dollars in the bank, or whatever your freedom figure is, why would you still do this work? Why would you still be getting up? Why would you be listening to podcasts like this? Then work back through the key stages of your story, but instead of what happened to you, focus on what you learned, what shifted, what you carried forward. So when you do this, you're sharing your values, not your timeline. And your clients will see a deeper side of you. They'll understand what you stand for and why. And that is what makes your brand story a positioning tool, not just a CV. The second is your story steps. These are different. These are connection points between your lived experiences and your specific offers. They're the smaller moments, the ones that link a theme in your story to a transformation that your client wants. Every time that I develop a new offer or I'm going out to sell an offer, I get very clear on what my story point is that I am using to sell this offer. I say this to all my clients as well, because that is the most powerful form of embodiment. The most powerful form of trust is when people not only understand the certainty of how your offer will help them through your methodology, your framework, the way that you think about the topic this offer or service is on, but when they understand that you've lived it, you get it. You need a specific story step that links into your offer that will become a key way of you selling that offer. Now, with both of these, with this brand story and the story steps, the key thing is to show, don't tell. But that has a specific meaning when you're working at a premium level. Show, don't tell is one of those phrases that gets thrown around so often and it's lost its meaning. So I want to get really clear on what I mean when I say that. At this level, your story isn't just about making people feel something. It's not just about emotional connection. You'll probably hear the phrase as well, people buy from emotion, not from logic. Well, it's not strictly true. There are many different buyer types at any price point, but especially when you're at a premium, those buyer types come through more. So we can't just think, oh, well, when I share from an emotional place, when people connect with me, that's when they're going to buy from me because they feel the emotion. No, they have to see how you think. They have to feel it. They're not just buying a transformation. They're buying your lens. They're buying how you see them. They're buying who they become through the work with you. Your way of seeing the problem, your way of seeing the potential, the sophistication of your approach. So when I say show, don't tell, I mean that your stories need to evidence your thinking, not just your journey. There is a difference between me saying, I help women build premium businesses, and telling a story that shows how I see a specific problem differently to everyone else in this industry. So the first one, I help women build premium businesses, that is a claim. My story that shows my lens is the proof. The way that I describe this when you're approaching any storytelling is that your client has to see themselves as the main character. You're the director. When you're telling a story, the question isn't, what do I want them to know about me? What do I want to share? It's, what do I want them to see as possible for themselves? Because your clients aren't buying a product or a service. They're buying a better version of themselves. And at this premium level, they're buying the belief that you can see something that they can't see yet. And your story is how you show that, how you prove that. This is also why the I did it and so can you style of storytelling falls flat at a premium level. Because your clients aren't looking for a cheerleader. They don't need to be motivated. They're looking for someone who understands the specific complexity of where they are and show them that you understand it through the story, not after it. If there's one thing I want you to take from today, stories sell when you focus more on the change you want to show as possible for your client and less on the story you want to tell. Your story will keep changing. The version you tell today doesn't need to be the final version, but it does need to be intentional. And remember and own it that personal truth does not mean personal exposure. You get to choose what represents you. The choice is your positioning. Download the prompts for this episode at the link in the show notes. They'll walk you through building your brand story, identifying your story steps, and then get clear on your boundaries of what you do want to share and what you don't want to share. That is the most in integrity and authentic way that you will be able to show up and connect with your ideal premium clients. Thanks for tuning into Rich Work. If this landed, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next, and I will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in to Rich Work. I'd love it if you left a review. It helps other women to find us. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram at rachelpearson.co for a different take on premium positioning, one that's not about fitting a box. See you next week.